In this video, I want to show you exactly how I'm helping a family get to a $1,000 emergency fund in just 4 months without getting a raise from work, a bonus, or starting some weird side hustle thing. They're going to be using the money that's already in their finances to make this happen. And it's been a challenge for them. They've been living paycheck to paycheck for a while now. And at the end of every month, their bank account has gotten down to $7, $32. Um, we're talking single or double digit dollars in their bank account. Okay. So it's not great. But there was this one simple process that we sort of worked through to help to be able to help them get to their goal of the $1,000 emergency fund. So if that's something that you'd like to do in your own finances, we're going to get into that in just 1 second. But before we get into that, there was a recent survey done, and I need to show you the article here. But basically, 44% of Americans recent. Um, and that's problematic to me. It's not just the US, it's the world. It's a problem everywhere. But the thing is, one of the reasons why people don't do emergency funds is they're not very sexy, right? Emergency funds, you're not going to get rich from them. But the thing that you could have happen from doing an emergency fund is you're not going to go backwards in your finances anymore. And a lot of times that's way more important, especially if you're just kind of starting out on this process. And I talk to a lot of people about their personal finances, so I see it often where people are making tremendous progress month over month over month over month, and then all of a sudden they have an unexpected expense out of nowhere, and it completely derails them. So the multiple months of forward progress bring them back either to the beginning or before where they started from. Because let's say they're paying down debt, for example, you're paying down debt, and then unexpected expense comes up and you have to use credit because you can't like pay for the emergency expense right away. So then you basically undo all the work that you just did for months, and then you have to start over and you have to start over. If that's you, smash the like button. I'd love to get some feedback from you guys to see, like, of those that are watching this video, how many of do you relate to that? Um, so what I want you to do, and kind of how I was guiding this family, instead of thinking of emergency funds as this big thing, because if you were to look online, all the articles, they're copy and paste. It's the same stuff. It's like, oh, experts say to have 3 to 6 months, in your emergency fund. And while that's like a good practice, someone that's just starting out you're going to be intimidated when you look at your current expenses, like your monthly expenses, and you're like, wow, I need to save 10 to 25, $30,000 to be able to make this thing happen. Like, I can't do that. There's no way I'm going to do it. And then they don't start. You don't start, right? So a lot of times starting is better than thinking, and direction is better than perfection. And we'll get into that in a second. But instead of that, crazy 3 to 6 months that you're probably not thinking is possible right now, um, how I guided this family, I was like, you know what? Why don't we focus on the first $1,000? Because that would cover most things that come up as an unexpected emergency. Okay. And here's how I want you watching this to think about emergency funds going forward. If you've ever played a video game where the main character has a health bar, then you're going to get this analogy. Okay. So let's say you're walking through the level. Let's say visualize your favorite video game with a character with a health bar. Okay. You're walking through the level. The health bar is your emergency fund. And the end of the level or the end of the game is the financial goal that you're trying to accomplish. Let's just say it's paying down debt, for example. You're going through the level, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, an unexpected attack happens, right? So the sirens are going off, the screen's flashing red, your health bar is going down like crazy. In the game, what do? Do you push forward? And there's a small chance you might get through it, but there's also a bigger chance now as your health bar is going down. The risk is that if you die in the game, you go back to the last checkpoint or worse, like the start of the level. Or do you look around and you're like, oh, let's go behind that rock over there. I'm gonna, do the med kit thing. I'm gonna hang out here, wait for my health bar to stabilize, and then I'm gonna continue on my journey. In most cases, unless you want to keep playing the same part of the level over and over again, you do the smart thing where you go behind the rock and you wait, you hang out, you stabilize your health, and then you continue moving forward. This is the same exact thing that happens in real life, guys. As you're going through your level of life, right? The attacking that happens is just unexpected expenses. And because you don't have a plan in place to be able to figure it out, like to be able to pay for it, you go backwards. You go back to the checkpoint or back to the start of the game, right? But I want to show you how to go behind the rock and do the med kit thing, hang out for a second, and then move forward. Okay. So um, this family was kind enough to let me share the information. Obviously, not like their personal information, but just like their budget. Okay. So this is their actual part of the budget. Okay. And I'm going to talk through all of this right now. This is the 3-month look back. Okay. And the 3-month look back is a process that you do before even thinking about a budget or creating a budget. And what this does is you look back 3 months, just like it says. So you take all of your everywhere where you spend money, so your bank account or your credit card statements or whatever, and you try to compile it into lists of expense categories, variable expense categories. So things like groceries, gas, utilities, things that you buy or spend every single month, but it fluctuates every month because you don't know what it's going to be. We want to look at the last 3 months. So I am streaming this video in January. So the 3-month look back, and I was working with them as well just recently at the end of January. And so they did October, November, and December for the 3-month look back. And these are their actual expenses. Okay. So as you can see here, we have groceries, gas, utilities, health and fitness, gifts, shopping, dining out, food delivery, and activities for their kids. There was a specific category for that, which is cool. Um, so they did this, and the whole point of this is one, once you actually see where your spending is coming from, it changes your thought process on how you're living your day to day, because where you put your money and where you put your time is how your life, is currently. Like, we vote with our dollars and with our time. It's as simple as that. So if you were to look at both of those, dollars and time, see what you're putting them into, that's what you're getting out of your life. So it's like, if you're, whatever. If you think you're doing a certain thing with your money and you're not, then it's like you always have a chance to change it, which is great. And the whole point of this is see where our money's going, which they did here, and then align that spending, the new spending, to like financial goals. So in this family's case, they have debt and they've been wanting to pay down debt a little faster, but they keep getting in that situation where like they're doing fine and then something happens and then they have to reduce the amount of money that they were paying towards their debt, and it just brings them backwards because they would pay for the emergency in debt with credit and they would go backwards. So it was time for them to have some sort of like savings hub. Okay. So their main goal in this process was to create the $1,000 emergency fund. So as you can see, we have the averages of all the expenses here. And over here in this section, it's our new budgeted amounts and our new budgets based on for the variable expense categories. Okay. And all of these things are now going to be put through the filter of our financial goals or our life goals, which I call those your North Star goals. Okay. So for this family, it was just a few things that were on this North Star goal. Okay. They wanted to build up the emergency fund, $1,000. They wanted to continue paying down debt because most months they were able to make minimum payments. And we're going to talk about that in a second. They were able to make minimum payments, but they wanted to add more. So right now it was, okay, let's keep doing the minimum payments on debt, but build up the emergency fund. And then once we have the emergency fund, try to put a little extra money towards debt. Okay, so those two things. They had kids. So I'm a dad myself. So they're like, we want to be able to still have fun with our kids and do fun things with our kids and not worry about like money to an extreme. Like, we're not going to go crazy with it, but like we still want to do activities for our kids. And again, as a dad, it's like, yeah, keep those kids busy. And so those were really like their three things. And it's like, and stay like employed, right? They wanted to like not lose their jobs, which obviously no one wants to lose their jobs. So if you funnel all of those, all of your spending and your thoughts and your energy and your time into those things, then this is where the change happens. Okay. So, I deleted some of this to reduce distraction, but I'm going to add back in their new budget amount. And let's go through some of the details here. Okay. So this family spent, as you can see in each of the categories. So like groceries, 750, gas, utilities is 264, health and fitness 31. So I'm going to kind of go through each of their categories and tell you kind of what their mindset was. Also, I'm going to unhide this one as well. The most important part of this category, this section over here, the new budget, is the why, or the like, how are you going to do this, and what, or why is it important? Because anyone can just say like, oh, I think I'm just going to spend less money on this thing, and they think it's going to work, and it's just that's not the case. You need a stronger why, and you need like an action plan of how you're going to make that thing happen. So as we go through these, I will talk through them. So the one big thing that they noticed that was a problem, and they didn't realize they were spending this much in. And FYI, most of the people I talk to don't realize they're spending this much money in. But dining out and food delivery, bum bum bum. So if you if you do those things, maybe check in to how much you're spending each month when you do it, because they explained it like, yeah, it was just like harmless stuff. Like we would take our kids to the diner or we'd order pizza, and it just like those are things that add up and you just don't really pay attention to it, right? So um, they were pretty surprised when they saw this 346 number. So one of their big focus was like, okay, this is a stupid expense. Again, compare for them for their aligned North Star goals, because this wasn't anywhere like convenience of food delivery, right? Isn't really it wasn't on their top like five things or whatever. So they were like, okay, we can get rid of this. So they took an extreme and they're like, you know what? Maybe we could do just like one thing a month. We could do like a whatever. So they thought $50. Okay. And how they were going to do that was, okay, well, maybe we need to increase our grocery spend because we need to do more cooking at home. We have to do more meal prep, and there has to be like more food in the house to be like ready and available, because it's hard to when you don't if you don't have enough food in the house, you're like, oh, I'll just order something, no problem. But so that was their plan to try and avoid that. So in alignment with that, their groceries was $757 a month, and they increased it like $50 a month just to test it out. Just like, yeah, we're gonna want more food in the fridge, more food in the pantry, whatever, and again, more meal prep. So as you can see, for each of these line items, the dining out, the food delivery, potentially will save them almost $300 a month, going from the 346 to the $50. Okay. Now with groceries, they did spend more, um, but it's a net win for them because they're losing so much in dining out. And again, these are potential numbers, by the way. So I'll show you in a second what their January budget actually looked like. But it's a net win because it between the dining out 296 and then the spending more on groceries, we're looking at like $250 of wins for like food, drink, delivery, all that stuff. So that's pretty good. Okay. Really kind of thoughtful for them because again, this is the main category for everyone. So just be mindful. If this is one of your like North Star goals, then so be it. But for most people, it hasn't been, and it's not on their top 2, 5, 10 things that people want to care about. Okay. So just keep an eye out for this expense category. The next item on their list was gas. So like going to and from work, bringing the kids around to wherever. And it was pretty consistent. So they were happy with, $93 as the average. So they just put it at $100 just for like, whatever. It's close enough and it's just above the average. So they felt that that was pretty good. Utilities, again, it's one of those things where you kind of have to just roll with the averages. So they went with the average of 265. So that's great. So there's no need to put anything in here for these because these are just like rounding almost, right? They're almost too small to think about. Health and fitness was very interesting. Okay. So one of them had a gym membership. So that's basically what these expenses were. And the other one did not, but was, wanted to. And, the January timeframe does a lot of crazy things to people. They want to, improve their finances, their health and fitness, all this other stuff. So the other one was like, yes, I'm actually going to be joining the gym, and we're going to be kind of like being accountable for our health together. So we need to increase this. And they had like a monthly gym that also had some classes. So they're like, yeah, we wanted to like do more classes, things like that. So they basically tripled their expense on that because this was just one person just going to the gym, and now they're like, yeah, let's do two gym memberships plus extra classes or whatever. So they thought that would be about $90 a month at the gym that they go to. Um, so here, like the action that they're going to take, two times, basically they're taking two memberships, more classes, and they just wanted to like be more intentional with their health and fitness along with their financial goals. Okay. Gifts and shopping. This was, yeah, just sort of like impulse buying items. Um, and as a dad, it's hard when you have kids, but they're trying to reduce that just a little bit. So they cut it in half. They said less impulse purchases. Okay, $30, great. So the health and fitness, by the way, they're spending $60 more than usual, and the gifts and shopping, they're spending $30 less. Okay, so as you can see, like these are all totaling up, and we'll talk about the end result in a second. Activities for their kids, okay, so they had an average of 173, and they decided that they obviously still want to do things with their kids, but they just were going to add more free activities or like freer activities, um, and bring it down to like 125. They thought that that was a reasonable number. Now we look at all this, we look at our monthly savings here, and it totals up to $267.95. So if you were doing the math at home and they wanted the $1,000 emergency fund, I told them I think it could be possible in 4 months. That's $250 a month for 4 months, right? 250 times four. So for them, and this was kind of their first attempt here, and they got it to 267. So they were very happy with that. Just on a side note, if you go through an exercise like this in this 3 month look back, by the way, the link is down in the description. It's a completely free budget template with a tutorial and everything in there that you would possibly need. But if you go through this and you don't really like the monthly savings, I would just honestly just go through it again. Maybe like realign your goals, like make another list or reorder it or something so that it's like, how do I align this better? Because again, for them, it was easy. They only had like three or four like very important things. So they were it was very easy for them to cut out all the extra stuff. Okay. So that's pretty much that. And this information is actually going to flow into the budget file. So we're going to get into that in a second. But first, I have to talk about my free community and course that I'm helping people with their personal finances. Uh, this course is actually how I'm working with these people. So right now, I'm actually taking a free strategy call with all new members until my calendar is just completely booked up. Okay. So if you're interested, I'm helping people kind of get the foundation of their personal finances, how to manage their money better so that the end goal is that you could pay down your debt faster because it doesn't take a lot of extra money to pay down your debt faster. I have a ton of videos on this channel that talk about that. I'm not really diving into that specific topic today. This is just going to be the emergency fund, but yeah, so basically the free one-on-one strategy call, the free tracking tools, you can also look at them here before you sign up. And you probably don't know, but so I've been an accountant for the last 15 years, actually, a corporate accountant. And my wife and I, we paid off $43,000 of debt in 13 months ourselves. So not only, do I have the professional side of it, I've been a corporate accountant, but I've also gone through my own debt story. And basically everything inside this course is designed in a way to sort of mimic what we did and then give it to you and have you apply it to your finances. Obviously, every financial situation is going to be different, but this is what worked for me and this is what I want to share with people. Okay. And actually, it's been pretty exciting. We've had a lot of new people join recently. So, Rocky, Justice, Tony, Steven, Sandy, right? So, it's been very exciting. A lot of people are in here. And yeah, again, so it's school.com/debt. It's in the description of this video. Completely free. Everything inside this is free, including my time right now. I just want to help people get wins and eventually, I book my calendar, please. Like I want to help people right now. So school.com/debt. let's get back into the budget. So we're going to jump into their budget without any expenses in it because this is not how I normally do it, but I wanted to show this for this video, kind of separate it out between here's the budgeted items, and then here are the budget with their actual items that they actually paid stuff with, and then I'll show you the difference. Okay. So as you can see, the variable expenses here that we had on the last page, so this was 1460, $1,460, and it ties exactly to this. So basically what happens on the budget file, all of this data, there's a formula in here. It's pulling from the 3-month look back tab. So we do that exercise, all the new budget totals come over here, which is great. Um, they already had like their fixed expenses ready to go because again, they're fixed. So they had a mortgage, cell phone bills, internet, cable streaming stuff, childcare, and car insurance. Okay. And then up here, so they both had 9 to 5 jobs. So they had, 4 paychecks every month. And these were this was their income. And this is important because knowing your income is important because that is what we base our budget off of. Right. It's crazy. But so their salaries, so their paychecks are about the same every paycheck, and they make about $8,000 a month between the two of them. So this dollar amount, $8,017.81, is what they have to work with for their budget. Okay, they can't spend a dollar more, and we shouldn't be spending a dollar less. And that does not mean that you just spend it all on useless stuff. We are going to try and budget towards our financial goals, like paying down debt and the emergency fund, which we'll get into right now. Because what we were able to do, because they found $267.95 from this process, they just wanted to put all of that, they wanted to budget that amount as an emergency fund. And then they also had debt. These were their minimum payments for their debt. So they have 2 credit cards, a car loan, and a student loan. Okay. And the only way that I know how to reach financial goals, faster, I'm sure there's other ways, but this is what worked for me, is you plan to make, payments, or you pay yourself first in your budget. So that way it's not a thought at the end of the month where it's like you live your life and then it's the end of the month, you're like, crap, I was supposed to do that, debt thing, pay more money towards it. And then another month happens, crap, I haven't, I don't have any money. Another month happens, crap, where's all my money going? And you're not like planning the financial goals into your budget. Okay. So that's step one. I would start doing that. A lot of people, they think about their needs and their wants items as like a group, and then they don't think about their financial goals. So what I want you to really do, and why we kind of do the North Star goals, is you do your need items and your North Star items. Okay. And then your financial goals. And then what's left over is your want items. It's just the best way that I personally know how to do it. And now you can be as aggressive as you want with the financial goals, which is the best part because you do your need and your North Star. So, like the things that you need to live and the things that you say are the most important in your life, you do those. And then you're aggressive with the financial goals. And then you leave whatever's left over for the want items, which are, discretionary. It could be fun things, whatever. Okay. Something else I want to talk about. So if you were to look up information online about emergency funds, you would probably see a lot of things about how to optimize, what kind of account to put an emergency fund in. And I would say for the most part, a lot of people like to do a high yield savings account, which is basically like it's just a savings account, but with a higher interest rate than say your bank's savings account, like your regular bank savings account. It could be as anywhere like 10 to 30 times more of an interest percentage. So ideally, that's what we do with it. We put it somewhere else that gains interest. But for this family, I recommended something else. And I actually think a lot of people should follow suit with this as well. I said, at least for your first $1,000 in your emergency fund, because again, their bank account was going to $7, $32 at the end of every month. So I didn't want them to hit like an overdraft because they're new with the budget thing and like a 17 cents off and they had to pay an overdraft fee or something like that. So I was like, your emergency fund is now in your bank account, your checking account. Okay. And this could be dangerous if you don't have the right habits, just to be clear, because you could just keep draining your bank account every month. Okay. But this was the only way to do it. I didn't want to move out like the 200 something dollars, and we'll see what they actually paid in a second. Okay. We'll get to the actuals in a second to see how true their budget stayed and how well their plan worked. But for the first $1,000, so I said, okay, over the 4 months, our goal is the $1,000. And every time you have money in your account for the emergency fund, that is your new zero. And what I mean by that is if we were to get to $1,000 as an emergency fund, that's the new $0 in our bank account. So like we have to treat that as we cannot go below this number. So now it's zero, but when we get the emergency fund, it's $1,000. We cannot go below this. This is the new like bottom line. So basically, pretend like if you go below this, you're going to get docked with like fees and withdrawals, whatever. So that's what I told them, and I do think that would work for a lot of people. And then I said after the $1,000, like maybe you have the $1,000 in your checking account, and that's your new zero. And then if you want to continue the emergency fund, we could talk about optimizing it, what was best for you, what other account to use. But I think that's the best strategy to do. Okay. Um, so this was just their budget, and it's a pretty I thought it was a pretty strong idea. So the month happened. Okay, so we're looking here now. We're gonna go to January, budget with actuals. Okay, and we're gonna see here what happened. And what I did, so their income, everything stayed the same. So what was expected was happened. Their fixed expenses, of course, everything that was expected happened because they're fixed. Okay. The variable expenses, I wanted to go through this and I highlighted what their actual was compared to their budget. So anything that was in red, that means that they spent more than their budget. And anything in green meant that they spent less than what they budgeted. Okay. Just to give you the visual for this video. Okay. Normally it's not like this. I think just thought it would be helpful. So groceries, yeah, really close, right? That's perfect. $3-4 over. Gas, just right at it again. Like very cool. Utilities, yeah. So I guess, yeah, maybe a little colder than it was expected. So it was like $30 more than they were anticipating. Health and fitness, yeah, they pretty much hit that right on the head, which is awesome. Gifts and shopping, they didn't buy anything this month, which I do notice a lot when someone's not everyone, but when people are in the right mindset and they're starting this new thing, they go a little harder in the first couple months to like really make sure it works. So this was not really a super important category for them, even though they put $30, but they didn't spend any money on it. Okay, dining out and food delivery. Okay, this is the big category. So they set a aggressive budget for $50 and they spent $71. Like, okay, that's fine. That's pretty close. And then activities for the kids, it was like $40 more than what was anticipated. So I have down here, so the budget was $1,460. Their actual was just over $1,500, which is a difference of $60. So they went $60 over their budget. Not bad for the first time doing it. Okay. Not bad at all. So we go over here to the debt, and they had all their budgeted minimum payments, and they did make all the minimum payments, which is great. Now we look over here to the financial goals section, and the budget for the emergency fund was $267.95. Okay. What they actually had in their bank account at the end of the month. So the month prior, just for reference, they had that was the $7 month. So they had $7 in there. And after this month, they had $208. So that's great. So now the $208 is their emergency fund. So I'll ask you, like, what do you think? What do you think about this? Do you think that they failed? I mean, they didn't hit their budget. They didn't reach the month's financial goal. Do you think they failed? Because I don't think they did at all. I think that this is amazing. And I think this goes back to what I said earlier, the little quick little statement. Starting is better than thinking. So before this, they were just kind of thinking of why am I not doing this? How can I not do this? They were just thinking. They weren't doing or taking action. So starting is better than thinking, and direction is better than perfection. And what would have been perfect if they actually had the $267.95 in their bank account, but they were directionally correct. Like, they didn't exactly nail it on the head, but they were, yeah, again, it was like $60 short of what they wanted. So I would say that that's incredible. They stopped thinking, and then they're directionally correct because they didn't put this $208 towards something else in here. They put it towards the financial goal that they said they were going to put it towards. I would say that that's a pretty awesome win for them. Okay. So I think it's just really important to highlight this part of it because um, a lot of people think, I mean, I talk to a lot of people that if they don't hit the goal, like people are trying to get to the goal so fast, and you just don't realize that it takes a longer time than you think, and that's okay. That's okay. Um, but it takes longer than people think. That's why, like, I think maybe some people they listened to the first part of this video when I started, and I said that I was going to help someone get $1,000 in 4 months, and they probably clicked off because they're like, "Well, that's not impressive." And to some people, it's not, because some people could just take $1,000 out of their wallet right now, or some people, right? Like some people, obviously, people have $1,000, but a lot of people don't. We saw in that stat, like half half of the people polled in that thing in the United States couldn't come up with $1,000 if an emergency expense happened. So that's how people get in debt, because they can't pay for the thing, and then they go into debt. Um, and then they're just thinking the whole time about, like, oh man, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, but they're not taking action and they're not starting. So this family was over it. They have the two kids, and they just wanted the best for their kids. They're like, we have to be more intentional with what we're doing. Um, and yeah, this is basically the framework. Now, this was month one. Okay. So, they are obviously, like, quote, slightly behind their goal. But even in the 4 months, if they were to get their emergency fund, like if their bank account is sitting at $800 after 4 months, I would consider that a huge win, because they said they haven't been above, at the end of the month. Obviously, it goes up and down with salaries coming in, but they haven't been above $500 in months. Months. Okay. And I told this to them, so I'm not saying it behind their back, but they make a lot of money. So for them to only have hundreds of dollars in their bank account and money not going towards financial goals, I was like, yeah, like I agree that something needs to change here. Um, Something needs to change. So I mean, I told that to their face, so I'm not afraid to say it here. And I appreciate that they shared this budget with me, and then I could share it with you, because I think it's just gonna help the mindset here. So um, let me know what you guys think of this. Is this something that could help you reach your goal of emergency fund savings? And remember, everyone's number is going to be a little different. So what I want you to do is just think about, how much money do I need to cover any unexpected expenses that come up during the month? Is it $500, $1,000, $2,500? I would just start with the number that you think is going to protect you from a lot of things happening. And I think for most people, $1,000 is pretty reasonable. Um, and it feels attainable, right? $1,000 doesn't seem that bad. It feels attainable. It's going to take a few months. And now the plan, after they get to either their $1,000 emergency fund goal, or yeah, even if it's after the 4 months, then they're at $800. Like, that's not bad. What they're going to probably do is sit on that as their emergency fund. And then they're going to put the money that they're applying towards the emergency fund now. So, like, we'll call it the $200 towards their debt. And that's going to help them pay that off faster. And what I talk about inside of Dollar Discipline University is, it truly, truly, truly does not take a lot of extra money to pay down your debt faster. I'm seeing some examples in some people's debt payment calculator, which, by the way, down in the description of this video, or you could just pick them up in Dollar Discipline University. Um, I'm seeing that an extra $100 saves people 10,000 plus dollars of interest over the life of their debt, just adding an extra $100 to what they're already paying. So a lot of people are just paying like the minimums or just above it. But that extra dollar, the extra $100 amplifies the debt so much, because when you're in debt, think about it. Like, everyone talks about like investing, like how like compounding, right? How money is working for itself. Like, money's working for you, the money's compounding on itself, blah blah blah. And it's great when that compounding is working for you. Your chart, your net worth looks like this. But when you're in debt, like, your net worth looks like this, or your interest or your payments look like this. And it's just the least efficient thing to be doing, guys, being in debt. So that's why I created this course and community. I want to help people get out of their situations. Again, everything in this course is completely free, including my time. Please, please, please destroy my calendar. I want to help as many people as I can. Um, Also, if you're watching this later on, let me know what kind of topics you want me to talk about in these videos, in these live streams. Um, and if you watch them after, and if you watched this far, wow, thank you. Because I feel like I'm rambling now, but I just genuinely want to help people win. So my wife and I have been fortunate enough to go through some positive things in our life with our finances, and I want to give back again as you know the professional corporate accountant stuff, but also like the personal stuff, because anyone can read in a textbook of what to do, but it feels a lot more real when, like, you've done it yourself, and you've like, think about it like, you're driving in a car and I'm sitting in the front row seat, but I have the navigation. You can't see anything, and you just have to like kind of trust me. Like, no, 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 I've been there. Don't go this way. Go this way. Right? It's just like something like that. It's just like the accountability, the strategy, the implementation, that you may have been missing. And I think that's a big part of it. It's just like having accountability. I think when people jump on like calls with me, for example, but not to toot my horn, but like, I've felt this way when I'm trying to learn something and I jump on a call with someone else trying to learn a thing. It's like, the person that's trying to help you, like, you just help each other. That's what accountability is. And like, the people that jump on the call, they know like, oh, I have a call with Chris like in 2 days. I need to do that thing, the homework that he gave me, right? Homework. And it just keeps them on track. So if you want someone to help you do something like that, check out school.com/debt. It's down in the description. And oops, I will see you guys in there. And let me know what topics you want me to talk about in these live streams. Because I'm making what I think you guys want to hear or need to hear, but I want to know what you actually want, or what the challenges are in your personal finances. So that's it for this one, guys. Every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, I'm live streaming. So I will see you next week, and I will see you in the next one.